مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم إسلامية.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear students of grade 10. A new meeting, a grammar lesson, the same unit, preferences. Remember to do your best to show your love and belonging to your country. Do your best, and whenever you don't know, just ask those who know. And now, let's define the objectives of today's lesson. We aim to relate 5 examples with the uses of the full and bare infinitives. We want as well to relate 5 examples with the uses of the ing form, and by the end we want to complete 9 gaps with the correct form of the verbs between brackets. Ready? Let's learn some vocabulary that we may use along the lesson and the unit. We need a term that means to think carefully about something, typically before making a decision. Here we are talking about consider. We need a word to replace, to keep away from or stop oneself from doing something. Here we are talking about avoid. We need a word that has the same meaning as an equivalent in value to the sum or item specified. Here we are talking about it's worth, something that deserves an amount spent in. A word with the same meaning as finding an answer to or explanation for or means of effectively dealing with a problem.
Solve.
To solve a problem. And the last word to learn is an equivalent of an idea, a feeling, an opinion about something.
Impression.
Impression. Generally formed without conscious thought or on the basis of little evidence or at the first encounter or meeting. Let's now try to learn about how to use the different forms of the verb, the gerund, the ing form, the bare infinitive, and the to infinitive. Let's listen to this wise old man.
Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. What's your name? My name is Gregory. And,
Hi, Gregory.
How are you, sir? Not bad, but my memory is not what it used to be. I find I can't remember things as well as I used to. It's funny though, you know. I can remember doing things when I was very young, but I can't seem to remember to do the things that I need to do. That's the reality of aging, I guess. Well, it's been nice meeting you, Gregory. That old geezer said some very interesting things. He said, I remember being a child, but I can't remember to do what I need to do each day. In the first sentence, the first verb, remember, is followed by a second verb, being. This second verb is in the gerund form. In the second sentence, the verb remember, or verb number 1, was followed by the infinitive, to do. Remember can be followed by both a gerund and an infinitive, but in each sentence, it has a very different meaning. First, let's look at remember doing. When remember is followed by a gerund, the action of doing happens first, and then you remember it. So you are experiencing a memory. Well, here's Gregory now. Gregory, would you be so kind as to tell us a few things you remember doing? Let's see here. When I was a young lad, I went to school. I remember playing stickball with my friends. By golly, we had a great time. Also, I lived through the Great Depression. During that time, I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. I fought in the Second World War. Okay, now let's take a look at these memories and talk about them using remember plus a gerund. I remember going to school. I remember playing stickball. I remember living through the Great Depression. I remember fighting in the Second World War. Now let's talk about the meaning of remember, to do. When remember is followed by the infinitive, the order of events is different. It means first you remember, then you do something. First you remember that something must or had to be done, then you do it or did it. Basically, you remember the task that must be done, then you do it. Oh, hello, Gregory. Could you please tell us some things that you must do in the next week? Let's see here. I've got it. I need to take my medicine. I need to call my friends and family, and oh yeah, I need to pay my bills, and it's my wife's 93rd birthday next week, so I need to remember to buy her a present. All right. Now, Gregory, could you please give us an example sentence using the infinitive? Sure thing there, sonny boy. Let's see, I must remember to take my medicine. I must remember to call my friends and family. I must remember to pay my bills. And I must remember to buy my wife a gift. Before we go, I'd like to show you 2 more patterns that can be used with remember. First, we'll look at remember, followed by a noun. The sentence pattern is as follows. Subject, remember or remembers, then noun or pronoun. I remember that day. She remembers them. We remember your name. Remember can also be followed by a noun clause or a WH clause. I'll show you an example with a WH clause. The pattern is as follows. Subject, remember or remembers, the WH word, and a clause. For example, I remember who I wanted to see. She remembers what they said. We remember where we went last night. She remembers when she was a child. They remember why he told us to do that. I remember how they did that so fast. Well, that's it for this lesson. Have a great day.
Thank you, Gregory. And now, let's go back to our student's book, page 114. And I need someone to read the instruction. We need to find examples of full and bare infinitive in the text, then read the examples below and match them with the uses of the full and bare infinitive. Yes, Radi, as usual, you have something to say. You didn't learn about the rules governing the use of the different forms of the verb? Don't worry, just go to page 142, 143, and together we will learn when to use each form of the verb. Let's start with infinitives. We use the full infinitive, means to plus the base form of the verb, like to go, to do, to play, etc. We use it to express purpose, like he called to tell me the news. We use the full infinitive to plus the base form after some verbs like afford, agree, appear, arrange, choose, decide, forget, hope, learn, manage, need, offer, plan, pretend, promise, refuse, seem, tend, try, want, would like, and would love, and the like. An example: Larry needs to buy a new car. We also use the full infinitive after object of certain verbs like advise, allow, encourage, expect, invite, order, persuade, remind, teach, tell, etc. One example: it was Glenn who persuaded me to apply for this job. We also use the full infinitive with too and enough. The soup is too hot to eat. We also use the same form with the structure it, be, adjective. It is plus an adjective. Like, it's difficult to read his handwriting. It's difficult to read his handwriting. We also use the same form with certain adjectives like afraid, surprised, free, happy, ready, sorry, pleased, and the similar adjectives. One instance is, at last he was free to do what he wanted. We also use the full infinitive with verbs followed by a question word like who, what, which, where, how. But pay attention, not why. Like, have you decided where to go for your holiday? Now let's talk a little bit about the bare infinitive, which is used after modal verbs like can and could, will and would, should, may and might, must, and the like. Can you tell me what's wrong? Can you tell me what's wrong? We may go out tonight. We also use the bare infinitive after the verbs let and make in the active voice. Fi always makes me laugh, and my brother doesn't let me drive his car. We also use the bare infinitive after would rather and had better. I'd rather buy the red car. You'd better tell me the truth. We can use the verb help with a bare or a full infinitive, and it's the same meaning. I always help my mother clean the house, and we prefer to use this form. Or I always help my mother to clean the house. We keep the same meaning. And now the ing form or the gerund. We use the ing form, base form of the verb plus ing, as a noun. Pay attention, as a noun. As the subject of a verb like fishing can be very relaxing. We also use the gerund after verbs like love, hate, love, dislike, enjoy, prefer, consider, continue, stop, finish, start, keep, avoid, begin, imagine, practice, suggest, risk, and spend when we are talking about time. Like, can just finish it washing the car. We also use the same form with certain expressions like don't mind, can't stand, be interested in, it's worth, how about or what about, look forward to, be good at, can't help, feel like, there's no point in, it's no use, it's no good, be used to or get used to. An example is, Lucy is interested in taking up a language course. We also use the gerund or the ing form after prepositions like for, of, about, without. Henry is thinking of buying a new car. That knife is for cutting meat, not cheese. And after the verb go, to indicate a physical activity. We go scuba diving every year. Have we finished it? No, we have still some notes and remarks. The verbs like, dislike, love, hate, start, begin, continue are followed by either a full infinitive or ing form with any significant difference in meaning. This means that we are saying the same thing. I like playing or I like to play. It's the same thing. The verbs remember, the one that we have learned about in the video, and the verb forget are followed either by a full infinitive or an ing form but with a difference in meaning. When we use the verb remember or forget with an ing form, here we are talking about something that has already happened. We are talking about our memories, about things that happened in the past. But when we use the same verbs with a full infinitive, we are talking about things that need to be done in the future. أتذكر أني فعلت كذا وأتذكر أن أقوم بكذا. Some examples. I remember returning the book means that I returned the book and I'm sure I did it and I remember that. Or I'll never forget meeting them means I met them and I still remember that and I'll never forget that. But note the examples with the full infinitive. I'll remember to go to the supermarket. I didn't go, and I'll try to remind myself to do that because it is important and it needs to be done in the future. Or don't forget to lock the door. You always forget to do it. Now let's learn about prefer, would prefer, and would rather. These are used to express preferences in the present or future. Let's start with the verb prefer. Prefer can be used with or followed by an ing form, either to express preference in a particular situation. You are in a coffee shop and you say I prefer chocolate, or it can be used as a general preference. What do you like? I prefer ice cream. Prefer also can be used with to plus noun or an ing form to express a general preference. Ted prefer swimming to scuba diving. So again, prefer followed by an ing form followed by to and a second ing form. Here we are talking about general preference. Radhi prefers eating pizza to eating pasta. Prefer can be followed with a full infinitive, then rather than, then a second bare infinitive. Again, here it is a general preference. Mary prefers to travel by plane rather than travel by car. Would prefer followed by a full infinitive, followed by rather than, followed by a second bare infinitive, is used to express a preference in a particular situation. I'd prefer to go out for dinner rather than stay at home this time. Would rather or would rather not plus a bare infinitive is used for preference in a particular situation. I'd rather go to Ibiza this year. Would rather can be also followed by a bare infinitive and a second bare infinitive, and here it expresses a general preference. He would rather work overtime on weekdays than work on Saturdays. Here we finished learning about all the different situations, and we learned about the rules governing the different verb forms, and I want you to show me that you understood everything. We will need to play a game. Let's do it. Again, I remind you that when dealing with such a task or a game, start with what you are sure about. Then you can think of the other possibilities. So, what will we do? Modal verbs are used with infinitive. Yes, Ravi? You're sure that we use let and make with infinitive. Great. Okay, now let's finish the other verbs. Yes, Ali? You are sure that verbs like prefer, love, continue are used with an ing form. Also after prepositions. Great. And after be used to. The same with in addition to. And looking forward to. And it is no good. What about happy? I'm happy to plus infinitive. I hope to do that. I'm glad to write for you. To and enough are used with a full infinitive. What about imagine? Yes, it's with an ing form. Agree to, great. Decide to, promise to, dislike, doing, refuse to, and want to. Are you sure about your answers? Let's verify. Perfect. And now let's go back to your student's book. Pause the video, read the sentences, and we want to match those sentences with their functions. So the functions are to express purpose after certain verbs like want, would like, hope, decide, and the like, after to and adjective, or adjective and enough plus noun, after it, be and adjective, and e after question words like who, what. These are related to the full infinitive. The bare infinitive, which is the base form without to, is used after most modals and after the verbs let and make. Now, let's try to match each sentence with the function that it represents. I've learned to think carefully before making decision. This is the second use after certain verbs like want, hope, decide, and the like. What about the second sentence? You should install this program to stop receiving spam email. So the first one is the use of a bare infinitive after a modal, F, and to stop is to express purpose. Excellent. The third sentence, it's stressful to make a decision when there is no much time. Here it is the structure, it is plus adjective. So it's D. Advertisement, sentence 4, make us buy things we don't really need. And you are talking about the creation of needs. And here it's after the verbs let and make, which is G. The last sentence, I'm too tired to discuss how to solve the problem right now. The first one comes after to plus adjective, which is C, and the last one, to solve, is after a question word, which is how. Great. Let's go to the next task, task B. And here you are supposed to read the examples and match them with the uses of the ing form. The uses are as follow. As a subject A, after certain verbs like consider, finish, avoid, imagine, and the like B. After certain expressions like what about, it's no use, it's worth, and the like. And the last one, after prepositions like in, of, and for. Let's do it. How about helping me choose with the shoes to buy? How about helping me? Yes, it's after some expression like what about and how about. The second sentence, thank you for taking me to the airport. This is obviously is because it is after a preposition. The third sentence, making important decisions is part of our job, and here making the ing form plays the role of a noun. So it is A because it occupies the subject position. And the last sentence, which is a question, does Steve enjoy living by himself? The ing form follows the verb enjoy, and so it's B after certain verbs, especially verbs of feeling. Here we are practically at the end. Left only one task in page 114, in which you are asked to complete the text with the correct form of the verbs in brackets. Pause the video and try to do it yourself. You ready? Let's do it. I wish I could. Could is a modal. It should be followed by a bare infinitive, so I wish I could go. We decided, after the verb decide we need a full infinitive, so we decided to go. Instead of, we have a preposition which should be followed with an ing form instead of having. I wasn't sure what, a question word which should be followed with a full infinitive, what to do. I considered, the verb consider should be followed by an ing form, so cancelling. But I was worried it would, which is a modal, it would look bad. That was another bad decision I made. Number 7, here a new sentence. So we need a subject, we need a noun or a verb form that plays the same role as a subject, so it will be going. We need a gerund. Going to an interview and trying to make excellent. Try to do something. Trying to make a good impression while feeling terrible is not a good idea. It was too ill. Here we have I'm sorry, I was too ill. Here we have to plus an adjective which should be followed by a full infinitive. I was too ill to finish the interview. You are doing very good. You can ask your Arabic teacher about the differences as compared to the Arabic language, and you can think of answering these two questions or fill in the gap with the appropriate verb form, and I think you can do it. So I look forward to helping, and some people prefer also get an app. When we meet each other, we will try to do or to play a game, and here we are at the end. We fulfilled our objectives for today's lesson, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
مجمع الأندلس التعليمي، تعلم عصري ملهم بهوية وطنية وقيم إسلامية.